I'm very excited to tell you the story today about the boot that almost didn't happen, the Thursday Brawler. Welcome, I'm Carl Murawski, and this is the channel that helps you own better, look better, and live better. All right, as proud as I am of this boot, and I'm so happy with the way it came out, it almost didn't happen a couple of times. And I'll start right in the beginning. When I was first approached by Thursday to work on a boot with them, I immediately flashed back to the multiple videos that I have done being overly critical about them. So before we arrived at this boot you see in front of us here, it all began with a phone call. Now, I first got a call from Nolan over at Thursday, and he said that they wanted to work with me on a collaborative boot because they saw me as a hard grader, to use his words. And what I told Nolan is that I saw Thursday boots line up as having a lot of gentleman boot type of styles. Perfect example is this right here. This is the Cavalier. Now, this is a boot that you could easily wear with a pair of jeans. You could pair it with a suit or something like that. I mean, it's a nice looking boot, no doubt about it, but what I wear on a daily basis is this. I don't wear sleek boots. This is the kind of thing that I wear, whether I'm on the job or off the job. I like boots that feel substantial, that are chunky, that have a lot of, robust build quality to them. So the way I put it to Nolan is, if what Thursday makes is a bunch of gentleman type of boots, I wanna make a backstreet brawler. The boot that I wanted to create not only didn't exist in Thursday's lineup, but also was quite demanding. I noticed that there was a type of boot that was only available in the $600-700 plus range, which I wish was more affordable to me when I was first starting out. And I'm talking about taking inspiration from boots like the Viberg 310, some of Truman's boots, and of course my favorite boot of all time, the Creosote Nail Shank. These are spectacular boots with a lot of aggression and attitude to them, and they're also financially out of reach for most people. I also wanted the boot to be made with as much internal leather as possible. Now, Thursday has always been known for making boots that are comfortable right out of the box, and it makes sense. A lot of people want that. They come over from the world of sneakers, and they want to be able to put a boot on and wear it all day without a problem. Now, the masochist, I guess, that I am, I actually like the break-in of a thick leather boot, feeling it mold to your foot and actually getting better with time. But my big internal conflict with this whole collaboration was, if I've been critical of this brand in the past, what is it gonna say about me if I partner with them to make a boot? Am I gonna be putting my reputation on the line? Is it gonna be something that people are gonna look at me and go, he's sold out, look at, he's working with them, you know? I didn't want that. But the reason that I obviously went forward with this collaboration is that Thursday, they've always maintained that price point. They still have that $199 boot that looks great, that most people get, and it maybe introduces them to the world of boots. They've been the everyman's boot, and allowing people to get into this fun hobby more than any other company that I know of. So the fact that I have the opportunity to make something awesome that doesn't exist right now at a price that is simply unthinkable, I couldn't say no. So Nolan and I had a series of meetings going over the finer details, pulling inspiration from different models that we liked, looking at different leather options, different profiles, all the different details that would make this boot amazing. And I remember Nolan saying, I don't care how many different versions we have to go through, we're gonna land on something that you're happy with. So I was really excited to get the first round of samples in, and they weren't great.
Hey, what's up? So, I got the first samples in from Thursday. They're kind of off the mark, I gotta tell you. I mean, like, I know that there's a refinement process, but that toe, that needs to go on a serious diet. The whole thing back here with the backstay and the leather pull loop, it's too complicated. There's a lot going on there. But the thing that keeps getting to me is that toe. That's a work boot toe, and I think maybe it's too much leather. I don't know.
The other initial samples were equally as disappointing. I was looking through them and they just didn't either have the aggression or the attitude or...
So here's another sample. And, while this toe, it's definitely less like bulky than the last one, it's boring. Plus, this welt shelf is enormous. You see how wide that is? It's really wide. And again, my same issues at the back here. So this one's has its own problems.
Until I finally got to the last box. And that was this boot right here. And I finally said, okay, now we're talking. Now, while this boot looked great, there were still a few things that I wanted to change about it. First of all, this look right here was good. This was going in the right direction. I like this look, but I wanted a little bit more of an aggressive look. So I wanted this to be a little bit flatter, a little bit taller, a little bit more in your face. And with all that bulk in the front, this heel was a little bit out of proportion. I think we just needed to add a little bit more to it. But other than that, this was looking good. It had a nice fabric pull loop in the back here that would get out of the way. Eyelets all the way up because I love that look. It's nice and clean. And the heel counter on this was a simple one-piece heel counter. It looked great. It looked sleek and minimal. And that was kind of what I wanted, this lean but mean looking brawler. Over the next few months, we refined this thing with many, many different lasts, different details, different possibilities and combinations to finally come up with one that really started to look like something. And this is what we came up with. This is the Brawler in my personal favorite color. I like those reddish browns, but this is actually a long way away from that one that I showed you, which was on the right track. What we have going on here is a slightly, I mean by millimeters, taller Cuban style or dogger, as they sometimes call it, heel. One of the things that I liked is continuing this heel curve all the way up. To me, that just looks really, really nice. And it's something that is brought over from my work boots. These also have a dogger heel on them. I just like that look. It's a continuation, and a block heel looks sometimes a little bit more chopped off. They also went with a trimmer welt shelf here, so it's nice and tidy. You can see that this toe has lost a lot of weight. When you compare that toe to the original one, it's night and day. I mean, we have what looks like a big work boot type of toe, back trimmed out. Even though this one actually has a little bit more interior volume to it, it's much more squared off. And one of the things was making sure that the toe didn't overhang the welt. That's what gives it almost that gut look to it. I mean, to me, this is what makes the boot right here. This whole front end, if you were to cut off the front quarter of this boot, is where I'd say 85% of our focus was. Getting this right, and that look, and the sprung toe, and everything like that. And it had to have aggression and an in-your-face attitude right out of the box. And I think they did a nice job. The other stuff, though, with the single piece backstay here, keeping this pull tab fabric so that it'll get out of the way and it won't hang up your pant leg. Eyelets all the way up, and the cool thing is that these eyelets and this pull tab in the back are tonal depending on which leather you choose. So with this reddish brown leather, you get one style of eyelet, one color, and the same thing with the pull tab. So sometimes it's supposed to be contrasting and really stand out. Other times it's supposed to look a little bit more dressed up, depending on the leather choice that you have. These also use Thursday's own half sole. Now, I love the look of a half sole. There's just something about that line when they use a full sole, which continues through the heel, that to me interrupts the whole look of the thing. I don't like that look. A half sole to me looks much more refined, especially keeping that nice uninterrupted leather heel stack in the back there. To me, that's just where it's at. And I think they did a spectacular job on the design of this thing. So kudos to them. And I really got to thank them for putting up with me throughout all the months of getting it right and being really, really critical. Now, style and design don't mean a whole lot if it's not built well. And I'm happy to report that the only bit of synthetic inside of this thing, with the exception of the glue and all that stuff, is a little gel heel pad in the back of this thing. That's it. Besides that, you have a leather toe stiffener here. You have a leather heel counter. And this is pretty substantial. I mean, like, just like with my Pacific Northwest boots, you cannot collapse that thing. So that means that when you're in these boots, you feel locked in. Now, they're still going to be pliable. They're still going to be good right out the box, and you can wear them. But everything inside of this is leather, which is something that I was very adamant about. So we had the name, we had the final design, we had something that I was very, very happy with, but there was one more thing we had to choose, and that was the leather we were going to use. So these are going to be available in 4 different leather types. Of course, you have my favorite here. I'll put all the details on the screen just so I don't have to read them out loud. This next one is really cool, and we had looked at a bunch of different blacks. Sometimes they were a little bit too inky, but I wanted something that was going to be sort of T-core, and that's what we have here. So this, as you can see on the edges, has the pigmentation is on the surface, and as it wears through, that natural color will come through. So if you like patina, if you like your boots to eventually kind of break in and look really, really cool, that's what this is gonna do right here. Beautiful leather on this one. And this one is also, of course, these all come with different laces on them. We went with flat waxed on this kind of reddish brown here. And then with this one, which is supposed to be a little bit more aggressive, to match that natural edge, we went with a leather lace, which also has a natural edge. So it all sort of ties together. And as like I mentioned, take a look at the eyelets on this one compared to the other one. They have different details. Now you saw this one at the start. This is waxed flesh, and waxed flesh is one of my favorite leather types. Number one, it's pretty pliable and thinner, so it breaks in really easily, but also they're patina monsters. Waxed flesh looks awesome after a very short amount of time because as this surface treatment breaks down, you get a lot of the kind of nap from the leather, which starts to poke through, and they look so cool. Look up patina on waxed flesh if you want to see what these things are gonna look like in a little while. Then we have this one, which is like, I mean, look at the character of this leather. It's crazy. It looks like a freaking road map. It's so cool, but it has a little bit of that work boot vibe to it. So while again, this last can be dressed up and in a way like this, where it's shiny, and if you were to really polish that up, it could look really nice. Something like this looks like you could just wear it straight onto the job site. Now, don't do that. It doesn't have any safety stuff to it, but you know what I'm saying. But this one, again, because of that work boot vibe, we leaned into that, especially with this rounded lace that we have right here, and then the tan that we have on the pull tab on the back. So you have 4 different flavors of the Brawler, which I don't know, man. I mean, picking my favorite was really difficult. Coming up and narrowing it down to these 4 was way harder than I ever want to admit. So there you have it, the Thursday Brawler family. I really think that they knocked this out of the park. They did such a great job. They were so accommodating, so patient with me and all my demands and being nitpicky and stuff like that. But in the end, I think that what we came up with is something really, really special. This might not be your thing, and if that's the case, well, Thursday does have plenty of other boot styles which are more sleek, more refined. They have a few that are more wild. They have a lot. Their catalog is expanding quite a bit, but my small contribution to what they've done is right here in front of me, and I couldn't be more proud to offer it to you guys. I think this is really gonna hit the sweet spot for a lot of people. They did a beautiful job. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to my patrons. Without your support, I can't do any of this stuff, and I'll catch you later.